ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਟੀਵੀ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ ਮੌਕਾ ਲੱਭਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਫੇਵਰਿਟ ਸਟਾਰਸ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਦੀ ਧਰਤੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ today we're lucky we had an opportunity to catch up with the first Punjabi rapper, the person who created Punjabi Desi hip hop, none other than Bohemia. Welcome to the program. Sat Sri Akal.
Sat Sri Akal ji. Thank you for having me.
A lot of people talk about mainstream hip-hop artists. They talk about Tupac. They talk about Notorious B.I.G. They talk about Jay-Z. And they talk about them as being visionary founding members of the hip-hop culture in the mainstream community. The Desi community puts a lot of that credit in your lap and says, hip-hop, Punjabi hip-hop or Desi hip-hop, whether it's from Punjab on this side of the border or that side of the border, a lot of that credit goes to you. That's a lot. That's a big responsibility and a lot of credit to bear. How do you handle that?
Yeah, it is definitely. And you see, I think I had an advantage at a young age to be in a part of the world where hip-hop was evolving. So much of it was created, California. And from my background, it wasn't hip hop or rap, it was shairi. So I think the combination, and at that time that I did it, I think it put me really on top of the wave, where I was riding the wave before a lot of people. So it's easier for me to detach myself from it in a sense that, hey, it was going to happen. It was going to happen. I think so much of creation happens in California, in so many other sectors as well, and the rest of the world kind of follows. We've seen that over and over again. And I think hip-hop and rap music, and then Punjabi rap music, again, it was a California creation. I think it's a great place for people that are creative. We've seen that so many times in so many other industries. And it was the similar effect. So it's easy for me to detach myself and not embody the credit so much as to, hey, I have to walk around with some kind of, crown on my head that I created some. No, I think I was lucky enough, blessed enough. And then I was also hungry enough, and a lot of artists get that blessing, and, it translates when you work hard. But it was going to happen, and you see the trend ever so, even after me growing, evolving, changing. And I love it. I love the state that it's graduating to. You're starting to, even within Punjabi rap, you're starting to see different dialects. You're starting to see, you can feel, okay, this kid must be from Pakistan, speaking Punjabi, rapping in Punjabi. This kid, maybe he's from India, he's, because of his dialect. And then you see even furthermore, from Punjabi onwards, you got now Hindi rappers, amazing kids doing amazing shairi. You got kids in, man, I've heard, Haryanvi and Pashto, and it's just, this goes on. So I think it's like I said, I can't sit here and take a credit for all of that. Some of people, think of me in that sense, and I can see why. It's just because I was, like I said, ahead of the time.
So in the early 2000s, when a lot of your music started coming out, social media just started, online sharing of music, whether it was Napster or things like that. When a lot of your music started coming out and it was able to become downloaded, some of your tracks like Kali Denali, when they came out, it was a new type of music for young people to listen to, for us when we were younger, to listen to. A lot of parents didn't understand it, right? They were like, oh, okay, it's Punjabi, but it's not the Punjabi we're used to. This is not Gurdas Maan. This is not a Kuldeep Manik style track. It's not a folk track. It's a hip hop track. And the beats resonated with young people because they were listening to a lot of the West Coast influence from mainstream rappers from the African community. And your song came out and it resonated. When you write these songs, was there like a visionary artist or a hip hop artist that you took a lot of vision from, or you harnessed some of their artistic power towards yourself?
So I think it was definitely, to answer your question in a short, yes. And there was not just one, there was a few. The artist, predominantly Nas, I think was an artist that first made me feel like, hey, he's actually doing poetry. He made me look at rap in a different way. And then you got artists like Ice Cube, artists like Dr. Dre, who has, I mean, like you can't, where do you start? Where do you begin about Dr. Dre? You know, all the way up to Biggie, Tupac, you know, when it got into the whole gangster rap era. To this day, some of the recent young rappers like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, and I mean, these guys are doing some phenomenon of showing graduation of the genre. So they were all my inspiration. Now, for me to tell you that I became a Punjabi rapper off of strictly their influence, it would be kind of a confusing story.
That was my next question. Where was the Punjabi influence coming from?
Exactly. So that, how do I explain it to you, man? Like Jagjit Singh, Khan Sahib, Nusrat Ali Khan, Malkit Singh, the Golden Voice. I mean, these guys were what I grew up with. I did not grow up with rap music. Rap music was to me as alien as it can be. I'm at the age of 13, 14, hearing it for the very first time in California, not understanding the language. I don't speak English at this age. So the language content influence was always ghazal music and some of the shairs like Mirza Ghalib and Faz Ahmed Faz and the shairi of theirs, and just it's the craziest way for me to put it. And then you got all the way up to rappers, and I'm listening to, and I mean, all I have inside of me is ghazal music, old filmy music like Mukesh, Muhammad Rafi, and you know Kishore Da and Lata Ji and Madam Noor Jahan from Pakistan side, and Sajad Ali, and you know singers like that. So, and here you got a kid growing up with all that in their system, wanting to do music original and influence off of some of these rappers. So it was a combination, man, and that's what you got. It's an experiment.
In one of your early tracks, you said a line, "Main kar waliyan te boj." A lot of young people that were growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was an identity crisis for them because they were getting into the mainstream. They loved their Punjabi roots, but you know they were the grown-up second generation, right? Teenagers and getting into their 20s, and you know some of them you know they were venturing out into different communities, and a lot of them people resonated with that one line, "Main kar waliyan te boj," because everybody's family said, "Yo, you're a problem for us, right? You're Tu sade te boj aa," right? Your lyrics, when you write them, how much of it is it your story, and how much is it just the song for you, or just the lyric?
It is, my whole motive was my story. I, as a very young kid, at the age of 9, 10, started writing shairi in Urdu when I was still in Pakistan. And I loved the fact that I could write a few lines and really say vulnerable things about myself, really say touchy things that I would be ashamed to tell you face to face, that I feel. And I loved the coding of shairi, that I could hide my feelings. So I got into the habit of it at a very young age, exercising that, the form of how shairi. You tell me, hey, you know, let's hear a sher, I'll tell you a sher. And you'll be like, oh, wow, kya sher. You'll be appreciating the value of it as an art. Here I am, I have just told you a very touchy story of my heart. And I have the satisfaction of still hiding behind the fact that, hey, I'm just doing shairi for you. So at a very early age, from Urdu shairi, I got into that exercise, and it became a venting form of, you know. So I did it a lot in Urdu. Some of the early Punjabi songs that you guys hear are the very first Punjabi writings that I did. So it was a transition. Why I transitioned from Urdu to Punjabi, I have no idea. So that's a mystery.
Very similar in culture, very similar in sound.
But why? There's no reasoning behind why I did it. It was some kind of a calling. But yeah, ਜਦੋਂ ਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਜੰਮਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਘਰ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਬੋਝ. It was me again exercising again, speaking now, like I told you, the initial, as a kid, I learned to tell you my story, and ਕਈ ਦਿਨ ਨਾ ਦਿਲ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹਲਕਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ so I learned that from shairi, and I did that. So later on in my Punjabi shairi, I'm doing the same thing, and majority of it is me. Early music is totally me. Later on, as I saw so many of my fans actually listening to my music and being inspired the way they are, which was surprising to me. I thought people would never really care for it, but when they did, then you can see my poetry transitioning into where I am not only speaking my story, I am wanting to tell you a broader picture, and there I'm discussing a lot of things that a lot more people can relate to, and there's so that transition happened over the time. So some of the songs in my early album, like Zamana Jali, is an example of that, where it's more of a generalization, and I'm not specifically telling you my personal story.
I think Zamana Jali is probably a story of society and community as a whole now. When we look around us, definitely. In your earlier days, a lot of stuff that you did up until the last couple of years, it was Bohemia and just Bohemia on the track. And now we're starting to see a lot more features in Punjabi songs. And it's like a bigger realm of collaborations. Is that just the industry changing, or is that Bohemia changing into a new age artist, or is that Bohemia reinventing himself, or is that just the way the music industry has changed, that everybody likes to have a feature with them as a supporting role?
So some of my role models as rappers had sort of their endings was kind of not so much, so to speak, happy endings. Yeah. As leaders, as pioneers, as the it's a tragic place to be at, is what I started to feel. I was being cornered in this area where, like, I was this, oh, Paji can't even, oh man, Paji, you can't even take a picture like this guy. Paji, you shouldn't even talk to that guy because that guy said this in that song, or that guy wore this or did this. He's not on your level, Paji. It was starting to be, I was turned into this, it was a form of isolation that I was feeling, no one else. My fans were not feeling that because they were not me. They don't want me to do a show with anyone. They don't want me to talk to any artist, let alone do a song with an artist. Which to me was a byproduct of me being so good at my art. And I'm proud of that. Like, I'm an exceptional writer, and that's because I loved it from a very young age. It's a guy who's good at making this chair, or a guy who's karigir banda. Just been doing it so long, he's good. So I'm proud of that. But then the hat that you're putting on my head as the king of Punjabi rap, the god, the creator, the pioneer, Paji tusi kalle beh jao, that's it, was an isolation place to me, where it's like so alien to me. That was so not me.
Do you think artists that achieve heights of success, millions of views, tons of shows, tons of tours, that's their fate? That's their fate because they become isolated, not only in their talent but in their celebrity status.
I don't know them, and I think a lot of people feel achievement and comfort in that, but I don't. I wanted to reverse that. It was a self-destruction that I wanted to do. I feel like a creation to a point where it's perfectly done. Life, there's no life. Life is all about, evolving and creating. If you're gonna tell me anything, something is done, it's perfect, then it's over. That's death. That's end. And to me, don't put me on that pedestal where, like, oh, Paji, you just did this. You're the pioneer. You're the creator, and now we just can't, like. So that area was alien to me. Maybe some people, it's not. To me, it was. So what recently you've seen is this form of, like, I'm rebellion to my own success. I'm being rebellion to that pedestal you're putting me on. So I'm gonna do everything that you think a king of Punjabi rap shouldn't do. I'm gonna find this young guy who's gonna say, Paji, I've never done a song. I maybe did 2 songs in my life. I got this idea, and let's do a song on it. And I'm gonna tell that guy, kid, let's do a song. Whereas it will be some so unorthodox, like, what are you doing? You know who you are. Well, maybe I don't know who I am. Maybe today I'm a new guy. Maybe that was yesterday and I don't feel any part of that anymore. And it was that detachment of this guy that's this king of Punjabi rap. Who is this? That's not me. Like, that's something that's your fascination, which is great, and everyone should have that. But that's not me. And I felt more and more of that didn't put me in a comfortable place. More and more in me working with young guys, it's so much more like I'm feeling, oh, comfortable, like, again. More and more me showing up to sets where, like, it's a problem again, or how are we gonna achieve this today? It's me back to, like, okay, this is life to me, man. That was no life where, like, okay, Paji, you can't even talk to no one, you sit in this room alone, until there's a show that is so perfect, until there's this song that is so great, then you come out of your room. Like, what is that? That is so alien to me, and that's why people are seeing this new Bohemia.
Out of all your tracks that you've done, all the poetry that you've written or that you've put out there in public, I get the opportunity sometimes to interview a lot of artists, and I feel really privileged to be in my position because I listen to you guys and I play you in my car, and then I get to interview you, right? So not everybody gets that opportunity. So I feel blessed and privileged, right, to do that. Every artist has that one track that when they put the mic in their hand and they spit that track on stage and the crowd goes wild, it puts you in a euphoric state, right? It puts you at an all-time high level of bliss. What song is that for you, or what track is that for you?
All my tracks, man. It's not one track. I feel like the bliss and that feeling we achieve, me and my fans on a show, we achieve that. And then give us any song, any Bohemia song, and we'll achieve that. It becomes a blend when I do a show. Not a song stands out. It's a feeling that stands out. And cohesiveness is there in every track. We can go to a pop-ish track, you know, or we could go to a darkest track. We could go to Jadoo Da Main Jamia, मैं घर वाले आते बोझ, and that's Kali Denali Gaddi De Shishe Kale. Or we can go to Jaguar Le Lo, Pyar Le Lo. It's a pop song. But उधर च मैं की कह रहा किथों लेवा Jaguar दी चाबी बिना LED lights ते तेनू प्यार मेरा दिस से ना जरा भी.
So it's deep.
So what I'm trying to say is, like, we don't have a track. I think we have a feeling that we stand on, me and my fans.
Recently, we see some tracks coming out in some Bollywood movies. Often you see some artists or some songs get shortened for movies. Some have, like, you could say, the screen version or the film version. But rarely do you see a featuring artist get censored out of that song for that film or for that purpose. Recently, whenever I interview somebody, I do some research, right? I have my top 10 people I call, ask some questions. I'm going to be interviewing Bohemia. What do you think? What am I going to ask? You know what I mean? It's kind of my sounding board, right? I heard some feedback that recently your feature, your rap per se, or your hip hop element in a certain track got censored out of a recent Bollywood film, right? Does this happen to people who are stars or have achieved the celebrity status that you have?
Quite sure which track you're referring to, but I mean, you're speaking about two different genres of music. Hip hop has turned, Desi hip hop, or you call it Desi rap, has turned into a proper genre. Still in its infant stages, so to speak, from the corporate support is not there, so to speak. Industry is kind of forming. But artists are there, talent is there. And then you got Bollywood, a genre is a behemoth, big, over 60, 80 year of history you're speaking. I mean, so there's a different. But tracks I would say tracks get recreated for the use of, to cater better to the Bollywood genre. But I wouldn't know. I'm not sure if I would use the word censor. I would say it's a different version of a track.
A lot of people in when they're young, they try to make music on their laptops, or they're making music at home, download the software, and they want to be the next big thing, right? And good for them, because they're trying, right, putting themselves out there. What's your advice to those young people that right now their audience is probably the people they talk to and their parents, right? But they want to get that larger audience. What do you say to them for their drive and for their initiative?
I think imagination is very important. These days we're bombarded with a lot of imagery. A lot of times our eyes are glued to screens. So the more we are intaking information through screens and our eyes are busy giving us colors and information, the part of our mind that imagines is not, it stops working. So I would advise you guys to do less of that. Keep your eyes away from screens more, so that imagination of your, look at trees. Go walk in a park, or even if you're in your studio working, don't have screens open. Let this internal screen. How vividly can you picture things? Maybe that's a test. Maybe close your eyes and picture something, and you'll realize, oh my God, my mind can't even picture anything anymore. I'm so used to looking at the picture and searching for the picture that I can't even picture it myself. So that part of muscle, make sure you exercise it. And a lot of times what they can then be pado, pado, pado. So what they're talking about is reading, and the key about reading is the fact that it's not same as watching documentaries. It's not same as taking information from a TV channel that's giving you news. It's still your eyes are busy. When you read, your mind is free. So what you do is you utilize your imagination and work it more. So do that, and secondly, it's definitely a skill in a manner that anyone that's going to become a doctor or a scientist, they look at that. They read books. They try to learn the industry. So a lot of the kids I see, they're kind of going too guerrilla. Like, ko gal nahi, le liya keyboard, hum kar lange kuch na kuch. No. Put that keyboard away, put that computer away, pull up that book that came with that keyboard. Pull up that book that came with that program, and let's read that book, what it says. And if there's things in that book you can't understand, let's go research those words and read and learn that. And then we go into the physical, actually, exercising, and so it's a little too much. I definitely appreciate the guerrilla style. I like it. There's no right way of doing anything. There's no one way of doing anything. But a lot of kids are starting to, I love the whole street smart and not book smart. I get it. But I think it's getting a little skewed. Like, let's be a little book smart too. A lot of times in this age now, as an older person, I'm starting to realize that, hey, wish I had read more. So that would be one advice.
Bohemia, thank you very much for catching up with us. I know you always got a busy schedule. A lot of people want to see you, so I really appreciate that opportunity. God bless you.